Analysis paralysis with your investing. It's real, it's out there. And I reckon if you are human, you probably could, and it's actually a really good poll, I reckon, and we might put it in the Facebook group. What type of personality are you? So, for example, I traditionally was a shoot first, aim second, where other people will sit on something for 3 months and not take action and not start things. And I think potentially with the analysis paralysis, when it comes to investing in other parts of your life, you could be like I was, and you didn't really know you had ADHD. And the analysis paralysis wasn't a problem because you just pull the trigger and I'll aim later, and that causes all sorts of trouble and disruption. However, the advantage is if you pulled the trigger on 10 things and you didn't kind of think about it and you weren't being measured and considered, I reckon versus someone who didn't do anything, even with the quote-unquote losses and step backs in some of the things you pulled the trigger on, the fact that you took action in some things, I reckon is a net positive. So I don't know where I was going with that other than to say, when it comes to analysis paralysis, there are people out there, and I even struggle, and this is the wild thing, right? I talk to people day in, day out with their investing, and I say, oh, yep, do that. It's no brainer, or do this. That's simple. But even when it comes to my own investing, this does creep in. It's like, am I making the right decision here? Am I sure this is the right thing to do? So today I want to talk about analysis paralysis with your investing. What have you been guilty of? And at the very start of this, let me know in the comments, because I read all the comments. Let me know how you have overcome analysis paralysis. But what I reckon when it comes to our investing, we just need to break it down. And the first thing that I want you to do is just have some type of strategy. This episode is brought to you by the Quick Start Guide to Investing. And one of the chapters in this book, and I would encourage anyone who's serious about getting investing on a regular and ongoing basis and building wealth, the chapter in this book about strategy, it's wild. It'll really help you have a framework. And I always like to say, have a strategy, however small. And I think it does come with goals. And I think a lot of the reasons why people are scared to pull the trigger, or one of the reasons, is they don't have a strategy. Oh, I want to build wealth. Okay, why? Well, isn't that what you're supposed to do? Or shouldn't I be investing? Or should I use super? I don't know what to do. And then another thing will creep in. Oh, I'm scared if I make the wrong decision. That can allow the analysis paralysis. And for me, it's 100% being clear on what I'm setting out to achieve. So why am I investing? And once you have that locked away, that will help with the analysis paralysis. Now, part of that strategy, it's not only ownership structure. It could be super or in your own name, but within that strategy, it is the type of investment. Now, we see online all the time where people build this portfolio and I've got these ETFs and these direct shares and I'm doing all the things. I would say if you do have analysis paralysis and either you've stopped investing because you're worried or you haven't started and you want to, with your investing, just keep it as simple as possible. I'm totally fine if you just invested in, for example, IOZ, which is the ASX 200 or A200, which is the 200, or VAS, which is the top 300 Australian equities. This isn't a discussion about is that a good investment or not, and there's too much in Australia and not enough international equities. This is a discussion about we just need to get some movement. So whether you just invest in an Australian ETF, and this is crazy wild, even if you use the old adage, don't put money in the bank, buy the bank, even if you just inserted your money into one bank stock, that's better than not taking action. Okay, now there is a big discussion here about diversification and all that, but we're actually not trying to solve the world. the world's problems when you do have analysis paralysis. We just want you to get moving. And any action that you take that gets you moving, once you're up and going and you've got momentum and you're seeing some weeks and some months with some down trends and some up trends and up and down, this is awesome because you're in and you've got momentum. Then you can lean in and learn more and understand more. Another thing to really beat analysis paralysis is to set a deadline and then act. And I'll use an example. You might say, okay, I've got $5,000 cash saved on top of my emergency fund, and I think I have $100 a month left over that I can invest. You might say, okay, it's July 2025 right now. On the 18th of July, or the first business day after the 18th of July, I'm going to invest into the market. I'm not going to put my whole $5,000 in. I'm just going to do $1,000 of that amount. Then the next fortnight or the next month, and we don't want it to be too long out of the market, but the next fortnight or the next month, just write it out. I'm going to commit the extra $1,000 until we get that full $5,000 deployed. Again, this is not about making sure we've got the best portfolio or the right share or ETF. I just need you to take some type of action. You might say, I'm going to take action and I'm first going to just start by doing this $100 a month into an ETF. Or I'm going to put $2,500, half my capital, into this ETF. It could be a diversified one, could be the VDAL or the DHHF or the VDHG, any type of diversified ETF. I'm going to put half in now and then the following month, the rest of it. And then I'm just going to automate my investments. You need to remove yourself from the process. Now, the best way to beat analysis paralysis is to step back, look at your goals, and then ignore any of the noise. Earlier in the year when Trump had Liberation Day and the markets crapped their pants, that would have freaked you out because you're like, oh, is it the right time to invest? Is it the wrong time? What should I do? Well, the thing is, at that time, yes, it's scary, but if you had a strategy, you invest through any events. So you invest through the good times and through the bad times, okay? So turn off the noise. Go, yeah, that's right that the markets shat themselves for a day or two, but if I'm investing for at least 5 years, well, what does it matter what happens in the next month or two? And I can tell you it doesn't. You need to get invested. And because we want to just work on the analysis paralysis, we do that by keeping an easy investment, slowly drip feeding money in, and having some type of deadline. Get an accountability buddy. Hey, on this day, I want to do this. Would you join me on this quest or keep me accountable? Another thing in finishing I want you to understand is there's actually no perfect portfolio. We've got a variety of different options out there. I personally, for my superannuation and my long-term equity investing, I don't use my own portfolio of ETFs that I made. I invest into a platform. There's a model portfolio that someone else manages, and they do the rebalancing and the allocation. So I remove myself from this process. That way I don't get tripped up with, is this the right percentage allocation? Am I double questioning myself or triple questioning myself month on month, year on year? No, my job is to put as much money into my investments as possible over the long term. So that removes my analysis paralysis. If you are one that has analysis paralysis and you are it's a common thing in your life, you need to not worry about what people say and think. You need to say, I need to keep this really simple and elementary. Like my portfolio, I just do it into another one. I've got another account that just has a portfolio in a box ETF. I put in the book all the things that I hold at the moment and my platforms. But it's literally just take the focus of, am I making the perfect decision? Because there is no perfect time to invest. There is no perfect portfolio. There is no perfect anything because there are no guarantees in this life. There are guarantees, though, if we live on less than we earn and invest the rest, our tomorrow will be better off financially. And you need to do that. Even if you just salary sacrifice a little bit to superannuation from your pay each week, that's a perfect way to overcome analysis paralysis because you're removing yourself from the process. And I'll finish with this. You have to think about investing is a long-term habit, not a once-off thing. And the sooner we get happening, even if we're starting today just with small amounts into our super or into our account, you need to not be, oh, I invested then and I'm done. No, you need to be, I'm an investor. Remember, it's actually easy to get invested. It's harder to stay invested. My name's Glen James. Thank you so much for watching today. If you've liked this video or audio, please give me a like, a review, and send it to a friend or family member. And let me know in the comments, how have you overcome analysis paralysis? I'd really appreciate this. This is a dedicated content for YouTube, and we put the audio on the podcast. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Any advice is general financial advice only, which does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Because of that, you should consider if the advice is appropriate to you and your needs before acting on the information. If you do choose to buy a financial product, read the Product Disclosure Statement, PDS, and Target Market Determination, TMD, and obtain appropriate financial advice tailored to your needs. Simo Interactive Pty Ltd, the publisher of this podcast, and Glen James are authorised representatives of Money Sherpa Pty Ltd, which holds financial services license 451289. Opinions or comments from any guests on the podcast are theirs and not those of the host or the publisher or their respective license holders.